Hey everybody, it's Femtrooper, and today I'm going to be going over my top 25 JRPGs of all time. I've played a lot of JRPGs, and that's why today I am so excited to share the 25 best ones that I've played. There are a lot of JRPGs I haven't played, so if you don't see it on the list today, it's either A, it's a little lower on the list, maybe it's number 26, maybe it's number 30, or I haven't played it. I want it to be very clear that this list is fluid. It changes all the time. If I look at this list in 3 months from now, I may change what number 21 is, and maybe it's number 23. Whatever. Basically, this is just a list of 25 great, solid, awesome JRPGs. This is also not a definitive list by any means. These are just the games I like. So some games that I might rank very high, you might rank very low, and that's okay. That's the best part about this. This is a personal list, and I'm really excited to share it with you. Before we get into my list today, make sure you're subscribed if you're not, click like, and of course, tell me your favorite JRPGs. We're going to start off the list at number 25 with a game that so many people rank very high. It's usually in a lot of top 10 or 20 lists, and that is Final Fantasy IV. I don't have a physical copy of this one. I actually played it on the PS Vita. It was the PSP version, which I think was absolutely solid, amazing. It's funny, this is the first old school Final Fantasy game that I truly connected with. Some of the older ones, I've just found it hard to get into, or I just haven't loved them as much as some other people. But Final Fantasy IV, I really liked. I really liked the characters. I've always liked the music in all the games, so that's never an issue. But I actually connected with the story. I was really into it. I really liked it. It was awesome. I like Cecil, whatever. It was just a really great game. This is a really neat adventure. There were different towns to explore. I mean, at some point you end up on the moon. It was just a really neat experience, and I really liked it. At number 24, we have Final Fantasy IX. I completed it on the Switch, but originally I did play it on the PS1. I just never finished it. And as an adult, I decided I gotta finish that game. I gotta beat Final Fantasy IX, and I loved it. I really connected with the story. It's a game that I, kind of wanted to stand up and clap at the end. I definitely teared up. I really like the characters. I love Vivi, I love his story, I love how dark and creepy the game got at times. It was just a really good adventure. Final Fantasy IX is just kind of like the whole package here. Great characters, great story, great music, great gameplay, kind of great everything. It's really charming, it has, really neat graphics. I love it, honestly, and the remastered version is kind of like the definitive way to play it. Nothing is super slow, everything is sped up to 2024 standards, and it's just really a fun, solid game. I loved it throughout the whole time. I just had a great time with it, and honestly, I really connected with the story. So that's a big one for me on usually why I like a JRPG, and so yeah, Final Fantasy IX. At number 23, we have Star Ocean: The Divine Force. Now, perhaps an odd choice here, because I know this isn't talked about very often, but honestly, I just loved it. I really like this game. It's super fun, and it has just enough of the old school JRPG elements mixed with sci-fi that it just really was a great adventure. And again, you're gonna see a theme here. I like big adventure games. I like games where you go all over the continent or the world or just a big space and meet different people, meet different party members, go to different towns. It's such a fun time, and this was great. It's action combat, so a little different because I usually prefer turn-based, but I really like this. This was solid. I really remember connecting with the characters, and at the end just feeling super satisfied, and that's a big thing for me as well. So yep, coming in at number 23, Star Ocean: The Divine Force. At number 22, we have Fire Emblem Engage. Again, a lot of people seem to prefer Three Houses, but I prefer Engage. Actually, it's my favorite Fire Emblem game, so spoiler there in terms of the rest of the list, but I fell in love with this game. And I think the reason I really liked it was each major battle you went to, you kind of gained a new party member, you gained a new character, and they were all really unique and fun, and it was really colorful and bright and vivid. And I like that about games. I want a colorful, whimsical game. This game was exactly that. And it was just a really fun time. I love Fire Emblem, so don't get me wrong, I'll have a good time with any of them, but this one specifically, I actually did like the story. I really did. It was super fun. I was rooting for everybody, even characters that were bad were turning good. It was a big adventure, gaining characters throughout the journey, and I really liked that. I had such a fun time with it. I really truly was like obsessed with it when I was playing it. So yeah, props to this game. Solid Fire Emblem entry. At number 21, we have Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. Love this. Recently played it, but it was great. I'm so happy that they brought it to Switch because I had never played it before. I never had a GameCube, but I finally got to play this, and what a treat. Like a really charming, delightful game. Really enjoyed this. I love Paper Mario anyway, but this is a solid, really strong title. There's a little bit of backtracking that I found a little annoying, but overall, the game is great. I liked all the characters. I liked the actual story. It was kind of creepy at times with Peach and this computer. It was really weird. Just a lot of strange things going on, and I like that about Paper Mario because it's kind of like off a little bit. And so yeah, highly recommend this. It's super fun. I really like the combat because it has that timed button kind of thing, but it's fun. I really like it. Solid entry. Really great game. At number 20, we have Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I love this. I had such a fun time with it, and I think the strongest part about the game is the characters. I just loved them. I loved everybody in the party. It was such a fun time. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a game that I was playing during recovery from a surgery I had a couple years ago, so I really went hard because I couldn't do anything else, and it was so much fun, and I kind of just associate it with that as a really good time while I couldn't really do anything. So it definitely has a special place in my heart in terms of that, but the game is actually really cool. I don't think it's the best Xenoblade Chronicles, so that's fair, but it is a solid game and one of my favorite JRPGs of all time. At number 19, we have Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Love this game. I thought it was so fantastic. I recently just beat it, so there's a little recency bias here, but it's really good. And what I think the strongest part about this game is the fact that it was so emotional. Really, really, really heartbreaking, sad, and very you're gonna cry. So it's a really, really good game in that sense because you really connect with the characters in the story, and it gets really, really intense, very serious, and it was kind of a bit of a a bit of a shocker, and I really enjoyed that. So I like it when games get really intense and deep because it's sometimes it's always the same stuff in JRPGs, save the princess, save the world, whatever. But this one was pretty intense and serious with emotion, and if a game can make me tear up or get me very invested emotionally, that's solid in my opinion. At number 18, we have Star Ocean: The Second Story R. What a fantastic game. It's one that I've always wanted to play. It's been out forever, obviously came out years ago, but I just never got a chance to play it. And finally, when they did the Switch port, I was like, I'm there. I'm so excited. I had played Divine Force, loved that game, and I love this one so much. I'm putting it a little higher than the Divine Force because as much as the Divine Force was great, this one has just an amazing graphical style, and again, a great story. Very similar story. I get the whole Star Ocean thing with, the person from Earth who has all the technology, and then the person from another planet who doesn't, and they're a little bit behind, and blah, 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 and they meet. It's really cool. And so a similar story and similar adventure. You go all across the world. There's different party members. Super, super fun. But I just really enjoyed this. Overall, it's really good. And I was so invested in everything that was going on, and the graphics are too good. I really enjoyed what they did with this. More of this, please. At number 17, we have Harvestella. Really cool game, and I always talk about it because I feel like lots of people kind of missed out and haven't played it because they think it's a farming game. It's not. Yes, there's farming in this, and I hate that, but for some reason I was okay with it in this one. It's just really, really cool. It's a really neat game, and I guess the reason that I like it so much is because I really thought that Harvestella was going to be just a stereotypical JRPG set in kind of that medieval setting, blah, blah, blah. it starts off that way and then gets really crazy in sci-fi and, you know, took a turn that I didn't expect. And I think that's what makes it so interesting. And, you know, who cares about the farming? The story was so interesting and all the areas you got to explore were so cool that I feel like, yeah, this game is awesome. At number 16, we have Persona 5 Royal. Now, Persona is usually not my favorite thing because I don't really like the school thing. I don't like the social aspect, blah, blah, blah. But I have to say, as much as this game was long, it took me over 100 hours. And at the time, like, you know, I didn't have as much time to play it. I did not have a portal. It didn't exist at the time, so I could really only play this on my TV. And, you know, there was no Switch port. I was playing it on my PS4. I still liked the characters and the story so much that it's this high on my list because I connected with it like crazy. Like, I love it. I love the aesthetic. I love the music. My God, it's one of the best soundtracks ever made in video games, period. And then you've got this amazing cast of characters and they all get together and it's just a really, really, really good time. So yeah, I was really into it. Every single time I got a new party member, I was really stoked. Yeah, the social thing was not my thing and I got through it. But to me, it was worth it to get to know these characters. And I think that's the, you know, the frustrating part for me is I get mad and I say I don't like the social aspect. And I don't like the fact that it's over 100 hours. That's annoying. But then if it wasn't, I wouldn't have got to know the characters as well as I did. And I wouldn't have liked them as much. So yeah, it's a really good game. So I do really recommend this because, you know, it's long, but it's so, so, so good. You will have a great time. At number 15, we have another recent title here, and that is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Wow, this was a great time. I absolutely loved it. It was emotional. It was so fun to get to be with these characters again after playing Remake a few years ago. I was like, oh, so now I'm so excited for a third one. I just want to see what they do, because obviously it's a little different than the original Final Fantasy VII, but I love it. I love everything about this. It's so fun. Yeah, there were some mini games that I didn't care for, but overall, I'd say this game is solid. Highly recommended. It's Final Fantasy VII. So, you know, you got all those great characters. They're silly. Their interactions, I think the characters in this game make it stand out so much. You don't want to stop playing because you know, oh, my time hanging out with these guys is over. Like, I just love hanging out with like Barrett and Cloud and Tifa and Aerith and everybody else. It's just a really fun time. So yeah, this was a solid follow-up to Remake. Yeah, you may see that coming up soon here. But yeah, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, great. I really enjoyed this. I had so many cool areas to explore, and it was fun seeing, you know, all these areas come to life in, you know, with PS5 graphics. So yeah, solid, great time. At number 14, we have, unfortunately, a game that was never released here. Very frustrating, but that is Mother 3, and this is definitely a game you've got to play. I'm just so frustrated that we haven't got an official release out here. So yeah, I have a repro card here. I wanted to experience it so, so bad. And I beat this years ago, but it still sticks with me because I'm a huge Earthbound fan. I obviously love that game. It's my favorite game of all time. Spoiler. And so Mother 3, obviously, I like a lot. So it's not like Earthbound in terms of going on a big adventure. So that kind of caught me off guard because I was like, oh, I kind of wanted that out of it. And I remember being like, oh. But then when I got to playing it, I was like, oh my god, this game is great because the story is so awesome. It's not like Earthbound. Earthbound is kind of like go town to town and, you know, save the world. The story is like, okay, I'm not gonna, you know, whatever. It's nothing like super, you know, it's not gonna win awards or anything. But this one has a really good story and is super emotional. Like people, a lot of times people will bring up this game where they're like crying as they can't even believe what's happening. It's really like, whew, it's really, really good. So I highly recommend it, even though it's not actually out here, so it's frustrating. Maybe one day we'll get a release. I would really like that because I'm down to replay it. It's been so long that I feel like, yeah, I really like to experience it again. But yeah, I definitely remember, like, it's just so crazy and emotional in the areas you go to, and weird and twisted and very, you know, lot of parallel things to what's going on in the world right now. Really neat game. So as much as it's hard to recommend because it's not very easy to access, I recommend it. I feel like if you're a JRPG fan, it's a must. At number 13, we have Ni no Kuni. And what can I say? This was like a dream come true when it came out because it was like the coolest graphics I'd ever seen. It wasn't just cel shaded, it was specifically Studio Ghibli and cel shaded. So it looks incredible, but it's also super fun. It's like playing, the coolest anime, but as a video game. And if you like Studio Ghibli and you like whimsical, magical stories, you are going to love this. It's available on, new platforms, so you don't have to play it on PS3. That's how I played it. It was on PS3, and thank goodness, because the PS3 is so grim, and so it was nice to have a, bright game with colors and not just bronze and silver and browns. So yes, this was a huge, refresher back then to get this. And oh my god, it's so fun. I loved this game. And it's not exactly the easiest thing either, because I remember playing it on easy. I think it was just easy and normal. And it was still the end was grindy. But that's okay, because I really, really enjoyed it. The score is by Joe Hisaishi, who's like an amazing Japanese composer who does all the Ghibli movies. And he's just also amazing in general. So it's just really, really solid. This is a fun experience, and I can't recommend it enough. I feel like if you haven't played this by now, please do. At number 12, we have Xenoblade Chronicles, the first one. This is the version that I actually finished the game on, but I do own it for Wii. It's just so good. I have to say, it's my favorite of the Xenoblade games. I love them all, but Xenoblade Chronicles to me had the most insane cliffhangers, back to back. Every chapter would end and I'd be just stunned, and I couldn't believe what was happening, and it got weird and it got really just crazy. So I have to say, this is, this whole series is weird in terms of strange battle systems. But other than that, it's a really, really cool series with great stories. They all have a good story. They're all super fun. But I love this one the most. It's the first one I played, so that could be part of it. But I also do think it's the strongest one. I know a lot of people like number 3, but I still like number 1 the most. At number 11, we have Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. Quite a mouthful, but this is a really cool game. It's for people who like Final Fantasy VII. That's fair, and I do, so I really enjoyed this. But I really liked the fact that it was a prequel, and that you got to know the character of Zack Fair, way more than you ever did from, reading things in Final Fantasy VII. And it really, brought life to that character and made you really like him, because it kind of, you already know what's going to happen. I won't spoil here, but it's definitely a sad game, but really, really, really fun, and it plays like a PS2 game, so if you're looking for something kind of giving you early 2000s vibes, it's right here. And it plays great on the Switch. I know that you can get it for PS5 and stuff, but honestly, I had a great time with it on the Switch. It was so fun. So I highly recommend this one because it gives you a really old school experience, but on a new console, and it's fun. It's fun to get that Final Fantasy X kind of feeling, and that's exactly what this did. I loved it. We have made it to the top 10. So coming in at number 10 is Chrono Trigger, specifically the DS version, because that's how I played it. And it's just a phenomenal game. And I think the reason that I love it so much is the fact that you are having characters from all sorts of different time periods come together to work together to save the world. And I think that was just such a unique idea. I mean, let alone who worked on this game. It's the Dream Team, it's all that, super cool. But I just think it's a really fun game, and it totally holds up. You can play this, you can play it on Super Nintendo, and it's phenomenal. It doesn't even matter that it's as old as it is. And the DS version is great. I don't know how this game doesn't have a Switch port or even on PS5 or something. It's super weird to me, because this is the JRPG. It's always in top 3s or number 1. It depends on who you're talking to, but it's definitely highly received. So I love it. It's definitely worth being in my top 10, hands down. I played it so long ago, and yet it still sticks with me. Great music, great gameplay, it's really fun. Everything is just, you don't have to wait. It just, you go into battle, it's there. It's right on the screen. Just a fantastic game. So if you haven't played this, I mean, not sure how, but it's really good and you need to play it now. At number 9, we have Super Mario RPG. And I'm holding up the Super Nintendo version because that's the first one I played. It's the first version I beat. But then, of course, I had to beat the new remake, which is just as good, if not better. So I'm kind of keeping them as one here. I just love it. I played it as a kid and was like just mesmerized by it. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I couldn't even believe what I was playing. Like, it was so different. Like, Mario walking around and going in houses and talking to people, buying items. It was so different for me at the time because I was a really little kid and it was really neat. And then years later, I ended up beating it on my Super Nintendo and I was really proud about that. Like, yes, you know, it's such a famous game. I beat it. Yay. I still love it. And then when they released this, I was like, oh my god. So yeah, I beat it this year and had a great time with it. But Super Mario RPG is really, really cool. It's a great game and I highly recommend it because it's so easy, but so fun. Like, you won't even care that it's not a challenge. You just are so happy to play it and have a smile on your face. It's very different, and especially when you think about when it came out and at the time, like, games like this maybe are more normal, but like at the time it was such a different thing, such a neat concept. So yeah, kudos to that. I love that game. Ironically, number 8 is Dragon Quest 8. Love this game. What a phenomenal experience. Dragon Quest is one of my favorite series of all time, and this one is just amazing. It's such a fun time. And yeah, I know that this version doesn't have the orchestrated music, and that I lost out a little bit on that. I do own it on PS2, but just way more convenient to play it on the 3DS. I just had such a fun time. I love the story, and I love the characters, and everything else about it, because Dragon Quest is just like my kind of thing. I love the gameplay in it. It's like my type of battle system. It's my type of, even just the way the menus are, like, I just love it. I love everything about Dragon Quest. It's just pure comfort, and this was no exception. It's just a really solid entry. It's one of the best Dragon Quest games you can get. It's really great. So yeah, I love this. I recently beat it. I think I beat it last year, and I just, wow. Like, I just loved it. So please play Dragon Quest 8. It is definitely worth your time. It's one of the best Dragon Quest games, and I'm saying that maybe another one on here. At number 7, we have a funny one, but I love it so much, and that is Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. My introduction to Dragon Ball Z. Absolutely love this game. It's a really solid, fun JRPG experience, but it's also an amazing way to experience Dragon Ball Z because it's got all the voice actors from it. It's cel-shaded, so it looks gorgeous. It's like you're watching an anime, and it's so fun flying over the world and going to talk to people and just doing all these crazy things from the anime and the manga. Oh my god, it's just so fun. So definitely check this out if you like anime or you like Dragon Ball Z, because it's basically a love letter to the fans. If you've never seen Dragon Ball Z, you can start here. You basically go through every single arc. It's great. Like, I was literally crying at the end because I was just so excited that I had experienced such an amazing piece of art. Yes, I'm saying that because it's really good. So I really enjoyed this. Definitely play this game. At number 6, we have Final Fantasy VII Remake. Oh my gosh. So this game actually made me fall in love with Final Fantasy VII. I beat Final Fantasy VII pretty recent, like 5 years ago, so it's not like a game that I had played years ago. I tried playing it about 10 years ago, ended up dropping it, and then decided on the Switch to beat it. And I did, and I really enjoyed it. It's a great game. Obviously, it's awesome. Nothing bad to say, okay? It's great. But then I played this game, and it made everything about Final Fantasy VII, like, even better. Like, amped up, where it was like, oh, you like it? Now you love it. So, for me, anyway, it did that. And I was playing this game, and it was like, well, now I actually see the personality of all the characters. Like, there's Cloud versus, I didn't really get much about Cloud from the actual original game. It was like, okay, he's alright. But then it was like, oh, I really like the character of Cloud in this game. So much more fun. Love Tifa, love Aerith, love Barrett. Love them all, and love all the different areas you got to explore within Midgar. Midgar is kind of a dark, boring place, kind of, but not in this. This made it really exciting, like, so awesome. There were so many parts in this, things they added to make it more cinematic and fun, and I didn't really want it to end. It was like one of those great games that you're like, oh my gosh, like, this is phenomenal, and it made me so excited for Rebirth, which I loved, and now I'm excited for the third one. So, Final Fantasy VII Remake, amazing. At number 5, we have two games that I'm combining as one. So I will show Pokemon Red here. It's Pokemon Blue for me, but I don't have my original copy, so I do have this one. And then Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. There's obviously a few others. I have, I think I have Fire Red as well, somewhere down there. So either way, wow, I cannot speak highly enough about the original Pokemon Blue and Red. They are next level, like, amazing games for me. The reason I'm including this, and you might be like, ew, how? Is because I had such a fun time with this, and it had quality of life improvements, and I know I don't love the whole Pokeball thing, where you catch Pokemon in this instead of actually battling. But other than that, it was just such a fun experience that I can overlook that. And then the original game, as much as I love it, holy smokes, it's a little dated. But it has such a special place in my heart that it is so high up, because I think I wouldn't like any of these games or any JRPGs pretty much if not for Pokemon, because that game was like, you know, an introduction for me. I know a lot of people, it's like Final Fantasy VII. For me, obviously I played Earthbound and Super Mario RPG, but Pokemon was the first JRPG I committed to. The first one I was like, I was there. I was, you know, I was going to the Elite Four. Like, I was so excited to play that game and actually, you know, fully commit. I can't really speak highly enough about it, honestly. Like, it's such an amazing experience, and it was the first time I was really truly experiencing, like, a great big adventure, starting off in this small little town, Pallet Town, and then making your way to the Elite Four to become like a champion, to become a Pokemon master, and everything about it, trading Pokemon with friends, battling, like, the whole thing was just top-notch, you know, game development. I love it. The reason it's a little dated to go back to is that you have to individually level up each Pokemon, and I think when you're playing a JRPG and you have like 4 party members out there, you don't individually level them up. So it's kind of hard to go back to that. If it, you know, to me, it's not the graphics. I could care less. All the other stuff I'm fine with. So it does make it a little hard to go back to in terms of individually leveling up every Pokemon in your party. Kind of frustrating. But other than that, the game is solid. The music, it's engraved in my brain forever. I just love the soundtrack to the original Pokemon games. That Kanto region is just, oh, it's so good, guys. And then this just kind of brought it to life. So if they wanted to remake it without the silly Let's Go kind of aspect, sure, please do. But that's why I would like to see like a Johto remake. That would be awesome. But the original Pokemon game, oh my god, it is amazing. It's so good. So there's my little Pokemon story. At number 4, we have Dragon Quest XI, of course. One of my favorite games ever. Oh my goodness. This is so great. This is like one of the best games ever made. And it's the perfect adventure. It's literally like just phenomenal. It's everything I want in a game. I know it's not my number 1. You'll see what else I like more. But this, it's just so freaking fantastic. I can't with it. Like, the music is great. The gameplay is so fun. The characters are all absolutely amazing. Some of the best characters are in this game. You gain party members, and each time you get a new one, they are so fun. And I loved seeing every town you'd go to, every area. Like, it's just amazing. I've talked about Dragon Quest XI in so many videos, so yeah, I don't want to go on and on here, but this game is everything. This game is sad, it is emotional, it is hilarious. You will be laughing, you will be tearing because you're so happy. Like, I remember tearing up because I was just so happy to see the adventure was over and that everything was great. Like, it's just so awesome. So please play this game. It made me like Dragon Quest. It was my first Dragon Quest game, and then I was like, oh my gosh, how have I not played Dragon Quest games? So then I obviously had to run out and grab everything. So now I'm almost done the entire series. Love it. And yeah, so I honestly, like, if you're a JRPG fan, this is hands down a must. Coming in at number 3 is Yakuza Like a Dragon. Oh my goodness. I did not expect this to be as good as it was. I love Yakuza, so I knew I was gonna like this game. I didn't realize it was gonna be, like, phenomenal, though. Like, I didn't realize it was gonna be, like, the best. And yeah, it kind of is, because it's like Dragon Quest and Earthbound mixed in one. So cool. Like, honestly, it's so freaking awesome. Down to the sounds the text make as they scroll. It's so Dragon Quest, it's unbelievable. I mean, the main character in the game loves Dragon Quest. He views his life as a video game. So every time you're in battle, there's different costumes, but only he sees it. And so you're seeing it from his perspective. And it's really crazy. It's modern day, but it's a JRPG. So, you know, you're fighting all sorts of very interesting characters down, you know, there's like homeless people to, you know, men in suits, to like other Yakuza members. Like, it is so wacky and wild, and you know, everything is it's basically like similar to Earthbound in that modern day sense, but it's also similar to Earthbound because Earthbound is basically a Dragon Quest game, and so it's like Dragon Quest. It's awesome. That's all I'm gonna say. It's fantastic, which leads me to my number 2 game, of course, is related, and that is Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. My goodness. Yeah, I wanted to kind of have them in as one, but I thought, no, they're completely they're separate games. So I'm keeping this as number 2. I did enjoy this a little bit more than the first game because it had so much more. It was like, oh, you know, now I know these characters, now I love these characters, and there's even more. There's Kiryu in it, so it was like, it's the definitive one. It's so good. I can't speak highly enough about this. It's a masterpiece of a game. It's so, so great. You will be in shock for so much of the game. You know, something happens, your jaw will drop, you will cry, you will laugh, you know, you will be confused, you will be like, how is that happening? No, you will just, then you will be laughing on the floor. It's everything. It is so great. I am so excited for more of this. I can't get enough. I can't get enough of these new Yakuza games. I love the series to death. It is just way too good. But yeah, number 2 is Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth because it is just next level phenomenal. And that brings me to my number 1 game, which is so obvious, and we're not going to go on and on and on about it because everybody knows that it's Earthbound. Earthbound is my favorite game of all time, so obviously it's my favorite JRPG of all time. Nothing ever can top it for me, and to, you know, double check to make sure it's still my favorite game of all time, I did replay it last year, and I was like, yep, it's still the best. It's still my favorite game. Nothing can top this. Yes, we can get close, like Dragon Quest XI and, you know, Yakuza Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, all that stuff. Those games, like, really got close for me, where it was like, oh my god, these games are phenomenal. But then it's like, nothing can beat Earthbound. Nothing can kind of get in the way of my nostalgia with it, but to be honest with you, take the nostalgia away, the game is a masterpiece. The game is amazing. So, you know, it is the definitive JRPG for me. It's everything I want. There's nothing better that I've ever come across where I was like, yeah, that beats Earthbound. Like, nothing will ever do that. It has one of the quirkiest, strangest, most amazing emotional soundtracks of all time. The game itself is just so much fun. It's simple, which I love. This is not a hard battle system to learn. And then, you know, you've got this amazing adventure, and you go to all these towns, but it's modern day. It's like, you know, America's suburbs and, you know, small towns in the US. Like, I love it because it's like, oh my gosh, it's just this little kid and he's battling the weirdest enemies ever, from like, you know, a hippie to, you know, like a dog, but you might actually battle like a taxi cab. So weird. I love it. It's just very strange, and it's because of the strangeness, I think that's what makes it just so appealing. Like, it is just so bizarre, and I really, really like that, and everything about it is just pretty neat, and I'm so happy that it's available on the Switch now, that you can just, you know, play it on the you know, the Nintendo, like Nintendo Online. So cool that you can play that, because holy smokes, like, just such a neat game. So yes, Earthbound is still my favorite game of all time, so it's naturally my favorite JRPG of all time. No shockers there. Don't need to talk about that for an hour. You guys know I love it. And of course, I do recommend playing it. I think everyone should give it a shot. I'm totally okay and aware that it's not maybe going to be your favorite game, and that's fine, but it is for me. It's just so special, and I have so many memories playing it as a kid, and I hear the music and it kind of brings me back to that like mid to late 90s at my grandma's house. Like, it's just super fun. I don't know why. I obviously played it at my own house, but for some reason I associate it with her little TV in her living room in the corner there. I don't know. I just love it. I just love the game. So those are my top 25 JRPGs of all time. Obviously my list goes beyond that, but I'm just doing a 25 today. Oh my goodness, just such a fun thing to do. I've always wanted to do this. I've been really excited to do it, and of course, if there's something you don't see on this list, you can let me know in the comments, because it may actually be on my list. Maybe it's number 30, maybe it's number 50, I don't know, or maybe I just haven't played it. So tell me what you recommend, or based on my list of top 25 JRPGs, if you see a game you're like, oh my gosh, how have you not played that? Put it in the comments. I'm so excited to see what you guys have to say. Hope you guys enjoyed the video today, and of course I will see you guys in my next video.